Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to help you work through making decisions during your birth experience, how to decipher from those interventions that have got you and your baby at heart from those that don't. So let's start with a scenario. You've been labouring away, things have been going really well. You had until that point been having really wonderful, intense surges that have been really moving your baby. Now you've gotten to a little bit of a standstill. Your surges have eased off a little bit and you're no longer dilating at the rate that your care provider would like to see you at. So your care provider recommends at this point intervening and releasing your waters for you. At this point, you're not entirely sure whether that's the right decision for you, but how do you know what questions to ask? How do you know whether or not to make your mind up to go for this intervention or in fact to take another alternative? Now I'm going to dive deep into the acronym that will help you work through making this decision. So let's talk about this acronym. For this acronym, I like to use the letters BRAIN, which stand for different things. The letter B is where we're going to begin. B stands for benefits. So while this acronym works beautifully for both pregnancy and for in labour, for this particular video, I'm going to talk about it in relation to the scenario that I previously mentioned. So when it comes to that scenario, we want to look at what the benefits are to releasing our waters at that point in labour. So for this particular scenario, yes, it might actually speed labour up. Research tells us that by releasing our waters, our labour can be sped up by approximately 20 minutes in total time, which for some birthing people, that might be absolutely reason enough to have them released. Another benefit to having your waters released at this point is that you can see the colour of them, which can be an indicator sometimes as to how your baby is doing in utero. So that might mean looking for signs of meconium, which can be or your baby's first poo, which can be a sign of your baby being a little bit distressed or stressed due to the surges, but it can also equally be a sign that your baby just has a lovely mature gut. So having that information, being armed with that information can help you when it comes to decision making regarding that intervention. Letter number 2 in that acronym is the R, and that stands for risks. So yes, we've already talked about the benefits, but we also have to talk about the risks associated with that intervention. So while yes, we might speed our labour up by 20 minutes, we're also bringing in a host of new risks that might not have previously been there. So as you can imagine, that lovely double layer barrier, so you've got your amnion and your chorion, which is protecting your baby in utero. It acts both as a lovely barrier to sort of cushion your surges to make them a little bit more easy to manage, so it can increase the intensity of your surges, sometimes being enough for you to require further medication or further pain relief. So that might be worthwhile bearing in mind. But also that lovely double layered barrier, once the waters are released, can increase the risk for ascending infection. That's infection traveling up the vaginal canal. So it's worthwhile bearing those two things in mind and making sure you're able to make a well-rounded decision based on both the benefits and the risks associated with it. The letter A in this acronym stands for the alternatives. So we have both the benefits, the risks, and what are the other options. So when it comes to encouraging our surges to get a little bit more intense, to get a little bit stronger, and for things to move along, you might be looking at the other alternatives like dimming the lights, creating a more oxytocin-rich environment, a little bit of nipple stimulation, getting your body moving so that gravity can work in your favour to help baby move down and navigate that pelvic canal. Can all be things that can help move labour along nicely without other interventions like releasing your waters. So the next step in this acronym is the letter I, and that stands for intuition. And while that might sound incredibly wishy-washy, I always find that with particularly my clients and my own birth experiences, that we're a lot more in touch with our babies, particularly during that birthing process, than we ever give credit for. So leaning into that intuition and taking a moment to just have a little see of what's going on with your baby, what's going on with your body, and really checking in on what feels right for you and your baby when it comes to that next step, that next intervention, or that next alternative. So the letter N, being our last letter, stands for doing nothing. That might mean taking a little bit of time to just discuss with your doula or birth partner about the other alternatives that are there, looking at weighing up the benefits and the risks associated with this intervention, or simply having a little bit of time to see what else might happen in the time being. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you found it really helpful and beneficial. Let me know down below if you have used this acronym during your birth experience and if you found it helpful. I'll see you in the next one.